the early 19th century, I believe it was the early 19th century, the terms homosexual and homosexuality were first used by a psychiatrist, by Richard von Krafft-Ebing and Karl Maria Kurtbeny, a Hungarian writer and a psychiatrist. Not respectively, the other way around. Karl was the writer, Richard was the psychiatrist. They used the terms homosexual and homosexuality in the 19th century, but they disagreed on whether being gay was bad or not, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, this whole sort of thing then continued on where people were debating whether being gay was bad or not. Freud was like, homosexuality is a form of immaturity where the normal sexual instincts of childhood keep on carrying on into adulthood. Kids are gay and then they grow out of it, says Freud. Some gay men, they just don't grow out of it. Those baby men. And then people realized Freud was full of it. Just spewing out nonsense left, right, and center.
He was a weird bloke. He was like a gay kid, and then he grew up and was like, oh, my mum.
I'm so confused.
And everyone feels exactly the same way I do.
The disaster bisexual with projection issues. And then Sandor Rado believed there was no such thing as normal childhood homosexuality. And he sort of went on to say, yes, homosexuality is a sort of phobia of heterosexuality. So, if you're parenting, if your parents, when you were a child, sucked, you end up gay because they didn't parent you right, and now you're scared of being straight, you little baby. And then
how does that marry with the plenty of people who had bad parents but were straight?
Shut up. So that continued on. Those views carried on into the 20th century, and then people were still debating over it. Sexology researchers in the mid 20th century tried to figure it out and looked at lots of people, general populations. They did field research. They looked at non-patients. They sort of work of Kinsey and Evelyn Hooker were sort of very influential. The American sort of psychiatry ignored all of that. Gay people being normal? Silly. No, we're not agreeing with any of that. And they just carried on, American psychiatry just carried on with absolute nonsense when it came to gay stuff, literally just ignoring sexology in the sort of 60s and 70s. And then in 1970, that research was just thrust in front of the American Psychiatric Association, the APA, because of gay and lesbian activists basically saying, look, we're not going to be pathologized anymore. Stop doing that. We're normal. There's research showing we're normal. Shut up. Stop it. They disrupted the 1970 and 71 annual APA meetings. And so the APA were then like, okay, I guess we'll try and figure out whether you lot are nutters or not. And so they launched a bunch of research looking into whether homosexuality should be considered a psychiatric disorder. And then in 1973, the APA's Board of Trustees voted to remove homosexuality from the DSM-2. That was December 1973. They decided that.
Work kings.
Yeah. Can I just be really clear? 50 years ago? Wow. 1973 was 50 years ago. But 50 years ago, being gay was a mental disorder.
Wow, my parents were alive then.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is gay, yes. Sorry, crazy. It's hard to they're so similar in my brain.
They're both in the DSM-2. Sorry, DSM-1.
But yeah, no, so since that happened, people gradually sort of were like, oh, I guess being gay is okay, and we're still getting there. 1990, the World Health Organization removed homosexuality from the ICD, the ICD-10, the International Classification of Diseases, which, come on, catch up a bit, guys. 1990, that's a bit late. That's a bit
oh my late. God, 1990.
And so if we talk about conversion therapy, so that's the history of homosexuality. Basically, if you were gay, you were crazy up until the 70s, 90s kind of time, and then it was like, hey, maybe it's okay, but we'll also still use gay as a word for meaning stupid or bad until maybe, the mid 2010s.
Oh, they still do it now. They're kids, it's way more common than I expected.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember where it was, but there was a bunch of these guys, probably 13, 14-year-old boys, and they were still using gay as a slur this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was still happening.
I still use it, but I think I'm allowed.
I hope you do it ironically.
I think I've had enough sex with men to call things gay as a derogatory term and that be okay.
Yeah.
I think, maybe 5 or 10 more,
Yeah.
and I'll almost
You're almost there. You'll get your card in a minute. Your pass card.
Once I hit my centennial.